Well, happy Tuesday afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Before the Four. I am digital host A.J. Wuest, excited to bring another Before the Four to you. Now, if you are new to Before the Four, you were just kind of scrolling around, I want to welcome you. This is a little live stream that I do before our evening newscast, where I talk about WAFF's top stories before our 4 o'clock show. And it was quite a busy day today, especially as opposed to yesterday. Yesterday was kind of a slower news day, but today was quite a crazier day. So we decided that we're going to start Before the Four a little bit earlier than normal today because we have so many stories to bring to you all. And of course, I want to shout out the people who are returning. If you're returning to Before the Four, I want to thank you so much for coming back and spending a little bit of your afternoon with me. Now, with all that said, let's dive into today's top stories. And starting things off with some national news, Hunter Biden, the son of President Joe Biden, was convicted today on all 3 felony charges relating to the purchase of a gun back in 2018. Now, the prosecution argued that Hunter Biden lied on a mandatory gun purchase form, claiming that he was not using any illegal substances. Now, at this time, Hunter Biden will face up to 25 years in prison when he is sentenced by the judge. However, first-time offenders do not typically get the maximum time, and Judge Mary Ellen Norica has not yet set a sentence date at this time. It is still unclear whether or not Hunter Biden will spend time in prison. But let's take a listen to what Special Counsel David Wuest had to say about the case just earlier today.
Here today, Hunter Biden was convicted of 2 counts of lying on a form submitted to a federal firearms dealer about his addiction or use of crack cocaine and possessing a firearm while a user or addict. This case was about the illegal choices defendant made while in the throes of addiction, his choice to lie on a government form when he bought a gun, and the choice to then possess that gun. It was these choices and the combination of guns and drugs that made his conduct dangerous. No one in this country is above the law. Everyone must be accountable for their actions, even this defendant. However, Hunter Biden should be no more accountable than any other citizen convicted of this same conduct. I want to thank Attorney General Garland for providing the support necessary to fulfill our mission, ensuring that we have the independence to appropriately pursue our investigations and prosecutions.
All right, and let's head into some local news now. And starting off in the Shoals, 48's Aria Pond, she has been in Lawrence County today, speaking with officials and learning more about the Lawrence County dog attack just last week. Now, if you all remember, earlier this month, on June 2nd, 83-year-old Williard Norton was killed after being mauled by 2 dogs believed to be pit bulls. Now, Aria has been in Town Creek today and will be bringing you updates on this extremely tragic story coming up in our nightly newscasts. Now, our other reporter, Matthew King, he will be bringing you the latest on another tragic story. Now, this weekend alone in Decatur, 2 different kids on different occasions were hit by vehicles within close proximity of each other. Now, stick around for our evening newscast to hear what Matthew has on this story coming up. Now, in other news, a local teen who just graduated from New Hope High School was severely injured when he fell 60 feet off a cliff while on his graduation trip in Italy. Recently, 48's Haley Baker spoke with his sister, and let's take a listen to what she had to say about it.
Him and his friend were trying to go to the beach, and he's a young teenage boy, and he saw a wall and he said, I'm going to jump over it so I can get to the beach faster. Well, past that was a cliff, the 60-foot cliff that he fell off of.
Hannah Hill and her family in Madison County say they feel helpless. 18-year-old Hayden Hill has been in a community hospital just outside of Rome for 5 days now. The family says he still needs additional medical treatment. Hayden did have surgery to repair a dislocated hip and femur. He also is suffering from a broken ankle and foot and needs additional treatment.
But right now in Italy, they won't let him move. They won't let him sit up. They're not letting him do literally anything. They won't even give the kid a bedpan. Like, it's terrible. And so now they're worried about, he's getting like a bed sore on his bottom. He's starting to like cough up a bunch of stuff. So we're really worried that he's going to start getting pneumonia.
I also spoke to Hayden's mother, Sharon, who is now in Italy by her son's side, hoping any day now they can come home.
We've talked to the embassy there, and they've said that they'll provide a wheelchair and provide a van for us to get him to the airport. So if we can do that option, we have the GoFundMe for him set up on Facebook, which has raised a lot of money, which is amazing. We've got a lot more support than we thought we ever would. So if we can get him to the plane, we can get him on the plane. We're not worried about it. Right. Get him to the hospital. I'm not worried about that either. It's just getting him out of there and getting him back here.
This family desperately doing everything they can to bring Hayden home. In Huntsville, Haley Baker, 48 on your side.
Thank you, Haley. Certainly a tragic story right there, and I am certainly wishing him a speedy recovery. But now let's go into some of our top stories on our website today. These are not necessarily what our reporters are covering later on, but today, throughout the day, these were some of the top stories. And starting things off in Huntsville, a man is in jail and another is recovering after a shooting last night. Now, the shooting happened at 10 p.m. near Benford and Seminole Drives. Police say Billy Rice was arguing with another man before shooting at that man, striking him in the ear. Now, Rice was quickly arrested, and the man who was injured and taken to the hospital, he was taken to the hospital and he was later released after that. But Rice, that's who you see on screen there, he was taken to Madison County Jail and charged with assault. He remains in jail on a $2,500 bond. Now let's talk about Dylan Smith. This is out in the Shoals. Another man is in jail after authorities say he sent naked pictures of himself to a 15-year-old girl from Lauderdale County. Now, Dylan Smith is charged with 11 counts of transmitting obscene material to a child and 1 count of electronic solicitation of a child. He was arrested by authorities Monday. Now, Lauderdale County investigators say Smith sent the girl nearly a dozen obscene photos. They also say he asked to meet her for sex, even though he knew she was 15 at the time. Now, the investigation began after the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children received a tip that Smith had child pornography on the victim on his phone. Now, Smith remains in the Lauderdale County Detention Center without bond. Now, in case you missed it, early this morning, 48's Claudia Peppenhorst, she reported on a story about that iconic rocket you see along I-65 at the Ardmore Welcome Center. Now, that iconic Saturn 1B rocket, after 44 years of welcoming travelers to the Yellowhammer State, was taken down just last year. And why? Well, last year, NASA announced that the rocket would have to come down as it was deemed a safety hazard due to the deterioration. But thankfully, they are now in the process of building a new one. Now, Claudia recently spoke with Dr. Joe Fitzgerald, and here's just a little bit of what he had to say about the new $7 million replica rocket. Let's take a listen.
And it'll be owned by, not by NASA, not by the U.S. Space and Rocket Center, but by the citizens of the state of Alabama. And particularly, it will be maintained by those in Limestone County. I think that the stakeholder group will largely come from North Alabama and Limestone County to make sure that this is not only built, but it will be maintained and supported forever.
Certainly a very cool story there. And to kind of give my own personal account of that rocket. I went to school up there in Nashville just last year. I was driving up on 65, and I would always see that rocket on the side at that Ardmore Welcome Center, and it was just, I agree, it was just so iconic. But I am glad they are replacing that for sure. But very cool story there. You can find that full story from Claudia on WAFF.com. Now, let's head into, let me pull back up this circle box for you all. Now, Sarah Grace Kennedy, in case you missed it earlier, she recently covered a story about Tennessee Valley Authority making sure the power stays on longer as demand for it increases with the rapid population growth in Limestone County. Now, the current transmission towers have been in service since 1967. Now, TVA is focused on fixing the concrete foundations of the towers to reduce corrosion in the future. Earlier, Sarah Grace spoke with Clarissa McLean on this matter, and here's a little bit of what she had to say.
Interruptions to the service during the construction of this project, and it'll just help to ensure that the reliability is there for years to come.
Well, certainly sounds pretty good to me. Now another story from yesterday. A juvenile detention center in Cortland has been in some hot water as of late for allegations of child abuse and fire safety issues. Yesterday, Savannah Sapp covered a story on the Cortland Town Council's vote on whether to revoke its business license or not. Let's watch.
And it got so bad that this child attempted to kill himself.
Attorney Tommy James shares jarring details of a client he represented in a now settled lawsuit against the company behind Brighter Path in Cortland, a residential treatment facility housing children and teens with behavioral and mental issues. James says his client was a resident at the Cortland facility and described the conditions and treatment endured by other teens there.
Horrible living conditions, rampant abuse and neglect. Children who are in the facility who probably shouldn't be in the facility. There are gangs in the facility. There are things being smuggled in by the employees of the facility. There's gambling going on in the facility.
A 2020 report on Brighter Path Cortland issued by the Alabama Disabilities Advocacy Program revealed even more graphic details of the living conditions in the facility. That report revealed statements from 41 boys in the facility who disclosed verbal and physical abuse from staff and neglect to their living and educational spaces.
Since that time, we have had dozens of other clients come forward with their stories of abuse and neglect in these facilities, and we represent numerous of those now.
James says the Cortland site and previous sequel locations in Madison and Owens Crossroads are named in multiple lawsuits. He says DHR, who contracts Sequel to care for these children, has turned a blind eye to these troubled teens.
And DHR, certainly, the lack of oversight and scrutiny as to what's going on in these places on a daily basis is worse than prison. These kids are being treated worse than animals.
After fire officials discovered emergency exits were boarded up and padlocked, the town of Cortland held an emergency meeting Wednesday night to discuss revoking the facility's business license. A day later, as officers were putting Brighter Path on notice, the teens living there were abruptly transported away by DHR.
If this is what it takes, safety violations, and so be it, because they need to be shut down. And if this doesn't keep them shut down, DHR needs to come in with a fresh look.
Well, thank you, Savannah. Now, it will certainly be getting hot later this week. And as of right now, WAFF is activating a 48 first alert weather day starting this Thursday due to the heat coming to the Tennessee Valley. So make sure you all stick around for tonight's forecast from 48 first alert meteorologist Chelsea Aaron, so you all know what to expect with this hot weather coming in. And speaking of weather, yesterday 48's Matthew King covered the city-wide storm damage cleanup in Henniger yesterday. So let's watch that. Let's see what Matthew got on that story.
The cleanup efforts on County Road 125 are the same on all Jackson County roads, cleaning up damage from last month.
It's our duty to give the citizens a path of recovery, and that's absolutely what we're doing and trying to move as fast as we can to give them the opportunity to get the debris out and then get back to a normal life again.
Lou Nager with Crowder Golf is overseeing the project. He says crews will spend the next few weeks cleaning the damage left on the side of the roads.
We also are removing hazardous stumps, hazardous trees off the right-of-way as well, and bring them to the site here, and we will burn here at the site.
They'll also take pieces from buildings like metal and transport those to the dump. Nature says they've already made significant progress on the project.
I think we're hitting it pretty hard today, as you can see, and overall, after this week, there will be a big difference. We'll probably be able to tell what we need to do after that, but overall speaking, I generally would say probably 2.5 weeks.
He believes it's important to have this done sooner than later so people can finally move past the impact of these storms.
It's a timely manner to get people back on a road to recovery is our MO. So if anyone here locally, if you can get debris out to the right of way, we're here. We want to be here till it's done.
Yep, and I'm definitely rooting for a speedy recovery there, getting all that debris out of Henniger. And also yesterday, staying on the topic of weather, Aria Pons covered the story on the tornado sirens that went out in Colbert County last week ahead of the severe storm. Now those sirens are now back to normal and functioning properly. So that is a win there. But yesterday, Aria spoke with Colbert County Emergency Management Director Jody Hitt, and this is what he said about the siren malfunction.
From tornadoes to hurricanes to active shooters to dam failures to floods, yeah, we're big in exercising. And if you don't, everything gets put to the side, and then here when you need it, it don't work. But that's technology.
That's technology indeed. As we all know, Father's Day is coming up this weekend. In my personal opinion, there's really nothing that says Father's Day quite like the game of baseball. So here is a national package from NBC I saw earlier today about Father's Day and baseball. Let's check it out.
Ever since they were kids, the Gilbert boys bonded with their dad over baseball.
He was a great coach. He was a great leader, both outside of the military and in the military.
He just kind of loved the game and brought the boys up that way.
It's a passion that began early and endures to this day. So important to their family that when Air Force Colonel Eric Gilbert was deployed, he promised them something that felt like home.
What was the goal? What was the plan?
Plan was to go to all 30 MLB parks by the time I was 18.
They came up just short when the 48-year-old suddenly passed away in 2020. And yet, for those diamond dreams,
almost like a Father's Day gift to him.
It turns out extra innings were in store. From famed Fenway Park to Wrigley Field to Nats Park, they reached 28 venues, but missed one state, Florida, and 2 parks, the Rays and Marlins. So TAPS, which provides comfort for military families, fixed that, including a Sunday surprise at Miami's Lone Depot Park.
Today, the Gilbert family is completing the mission.
The boys throwing out the first pitch just a month shy of Dane's 18th birthday.
So you actually were surprised by the fact you were going to be throwing out the first pitch?
Oh, we had no clue.
You had no time to mentally prepare for this?
No, not at all.
Or warm up. Our faces hurt from smiling so much because we have so many great memories. And when you lose somebody, those memories are so precious.
Today, the smiles and laughs overpowering the pain with a dream fulfilled. Sam Brock, NBC News, Miami.
And that is certainly a super, super awesome story there. Now let's head into the stories you're just not going to want to miss in tonight's evening newscast. The Alabama A&M Break the Ice Challenge. Joey Chestnut, can you believe this? The legendary hot dog eater banned from the Nathan's hot dog eating competition. And a really cool story on some young Decatur fire and rescue cadets. And that's just a few of the stories you're just not going to want to miss. Before we head into Facebook Fun, I actually had an interview earlier today, and I wanted to make you all watching right now aware of this interview because this will be a super cool event coming to Huntsville's Big Spring Park on June 22nd. And that, of course, is the Water Lantern Festival, a super cool event. Today, I got to talk to the event coordinator of Huntsville's Water Lantern Festival. And this is a festival, it kind of travels all over the country. It's made, I believe he said, out of rice, these water lanterns, and you can decorate it. You can put anything you want, your biggest fear, your biggest worries, some of your personal goals. No matter what it is, you can put, you can decorate your water lantern with these things. And then once nighttime comes about, once the sun sets, you put a light within that water lantern and you float it out to the water. And it is completely environmentally friendly. So that is another plus. But that is a cool event I want to go ahead and put on you all's radar coming up on June 22nd at Big Spring Park. And we are going to post that interview sometime later this week, closer to the event. So make sure you all stay tuned for that. And yeah, I have an interview coming up tomorrow, on Thursday and Friday. I have an interview lined up. So make sure you all tune in to Before the Four because you're not going to want to miss these awesome interviews we have coming up. Now, I believe it is time for our Facebook Fun segment. And if you all are, you're like, what's Facebook Fun? This is just a little fun thing we like to do. The people who are returning to Before the Four, they already know what's about to go on. They are vets. They're like, come on, bring on the Facebook Fun. But if you don't know what Facebook Fun is, you are in for a real treat. So let's go ahead and pull up WAFF's top question today on our Facebook. And it was, what TV show had the best series finale? And you all had some really awesome responses to this question. Me personally, I am not a huge television watcher, not as far as like TV. I love movies. I definitely love music. But TV shows, I do not watch a ton of those. But let's see what you all had to say. So, Gina M. Krim said The Big Bang Theory, and The Big Bang Theory was certainly a very popular response. We got a few of those responses today. But Gina, thank you so much for commenting. It seems like you got 6 likes on that comment too. So that just shows a lot of people agree with your response. And if you're watching at home, don't judge me. I have never seen The Big Bang Theory. But would you say I should watch it? Would you recommend this show? Because I've definitely heard a lot of good things about it, and I might have to check it out sometime. But anyway, Gina, thank you for commenting. Let's see what else you all had to say. Lori Beth said Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad is a very good show. Now, I have seen Breaking Bad. Everyone on this planet, I believe, should see Breaking Bad at least once. It is that good of a show. And the ending, I'm not going to spoil it for anyone, but it is a quite powerful ending. And the follow-up, El Camino, the movie, is also a really good movie. I'll have to recommend that as well. Never really saw Better Call Saul, but if you've seen Better Call Saul, feel free to leave a comment. But that is also a very good one, Breaking Bad. Lori, thank you so much for commenting. And let's see what else you all had to say. Another very popular answer, MASH. Joshua Watts said MASH, and there were quite a bit of MASH comments to this question. So you are not alone, Josh. And Joshua says that he still tears up on that ending. So it must be a really emotional ending. I'll have to check that out as well. I believe I've seen episodes of MASH, but I have definitely not seen the entire show, but I would certainly love to check it out sometime. But that is it. We are going to end this Before the Four a little bit earlier today, so you guys will be able to, you know, pop up some popcorn for tonight's 4 p.m. newscast, because I know you're not going to want to miss it. Go ahead and pop that popcorn, get your drink, get all settled. You have about 5 minutes to do so. But I want to thank everyone who is watching right now for sticking around with me for Before the Four and spending a little bit of your afternoon with me. I greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you download the WAFF 48 digital app. It is, of course, on the App Store. It's on Google Play. And if you're feeling really bold, you can download, or after you download it, you can get the push notifications turned on and get the breaking news delivered directly to you. And the same goes for the 48 First Alert weather app. Because it sounds like we're in for quite a hot summer, and certainly later on this week it is going to be hot. So you're going to want to stay up to date with all things weather as well. But that is just about all the time I have for Before the Four. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you all enjoyed tonight's newscast and all have a great evening. And you know how we like to end Before the Four. Thanks for watching. You all have a great night.